The blue corner for your next fight, Chris Pacero.
All right, the Enigma Chris Pacero making his way to the FuryFC cage for the third time. 0-2 in those fights, but has fought some monsters. Evan Cuts, who we're going to see in our main event. Then lost to Abdul Al-Shawadi, who we're going to see in our co-main event.
Yeah, one of his losses was to Julius Holmes. I mean, dude, Pacero, 14-12. You know, a lot of wins, a lot of losses, but man has fought the who's who, and it has made him a very grizzled veteran of a mixed martial artist.
Yeah, Chris Pacero with 26 pro fights. There's not much he hasn't seen in there. He's seen every type of opponent. And so, you know, you just can't discount, no matter what the record is, you can't discount that kind of experience under any circumstance. You know, this guy knows every trick. He knows every way around that cage. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me to see him pull out a few of those from that bag of tricks today.
Yeah, he's going to need to. He's got a young, hungry fighter looking for a win on his hands.
All right, Pacero is inside, so let's meet his opponent.
Please welcome to the red corner, Darren Whitney.
It's D-Day. Darren Whitney, 5-3 record. And for Darren Whitney, young fighter in terms of the age, 32. Like, I know that sounds young, but when you're facing a 36-year-old, he is the younger fighter. But a huge fight for him, almost like a fork in the road, man, because he has been on fire and has 2 straight losses now, Michael.
Yeah, and Darren Whitney, you know, he spoke to me about this. You know, we had a long conversation about this. You know, he's hungry for this. He knows he needs to focus for this fight. He has a very specific game plan for this fight, and, you know, he wants to make a statement here. He will be very, very disappointed, not only if he doesn't win this fight, but if he doesn't finish this opponent, he's going to be very, very disappointed. Darren's one of those guys also, Alex, very tough to deal with at 155 pounds, at 6'3", long reach, you know, good striking, good wrestling defense, pretty good jiu-jitsu, so very well-rounded fighter and very hard to deal with.
Yeah, and his list of opponents, wins and losses, you know, Thiago Guzman, Colton England, Marcel Medeiros, these guys are all excellent, man. So 5-3, not a bad record, but all 8 fights, tough fights.
We look at our tail of the tape, brought to you by Sheath Underwear. You mentioned that height advantage, reach advantage for Darren Whitney. The 32-year-old came in at 154.8. Had a really good fight camp. Let's see how it goes for him. Let's go inside to Wayne for our introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next fight, brought to you by SheathUnderwear.com, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the FuryFC lightweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet 9 inches tall, and he weighed in at 157 pounds. Fighting out of El Paso, Texas, by way of Corpus Christi, Texas, he holds a professional record of 14 wins, 12 losses. This is the Enigma, Chris Pacero. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 6 feet 3 inches tall, and he weighed in at 154.8 pounds. Fighting out of Watauga, Texas, by way of Belfast, Maine, he holds a professional record of 5 wins, 3 losses. This is Darren D-Day Whitney. Your referee in charge, Joel Ojeda.
Joel Ojeda with the assignment here. Blue gloves for Pacero, red for D-Day Darren Whitney. Love touch between the fighters. Ooh, a big left kick to open up that looks like it grazed the cup, but all good.
Ooh, that smacker of a kick. When you faked a punch, that probably would have landed and went for a shot. Man, that kick did make a loud pop, hit Whitney right in the form. I'd be curious if there's any damage to that right arm. I mean, he's single-legged with it, so I don't think so, but I mean,
Yeah, Darren Whitney, a very long fighter, but he does fight with a very wide stance, so he is susceptible to those leg kicks.
Oh, he rocked him. Whitney's got him out on his feet. I think wrestling here is perhaps a misplay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Darren had him stunned. I think if he would have stood up in front of him, gave a little bit of distance and let him move forward, I think he could have got him out of there.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, this game can be so fickle, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, my last fight I had him rocked, couldn't finish him, let him stand up, end up getting finished. Where everyone's like, man, you should have taken him down. And in these scenarios, you rock him, you go for the takedown and get it, but like, oh man, you could have knocked him out. Yeah. It really is. It's just so easy to kind of judge and critique everything when really you just gotta put your foot on the gas and win any exchange you can.
Now D-Day on the back of Pacero.
Yeah, this is bad news for Pacero because, you know, Darren's really good at these chokes, really good at setting up these chokes, and we've seen him with no hooks do a kind of a bulldog-style rear naked choke before. You know, he's so long, he's able to just tower over his opponents in that turtle position and get those long arms around that neck, even when he doesn't have any hooks in. So the fact that he does have hooks in, I mean, it almost looked like he could have pulled off a twister there if he kind of pushed that arm around the head.
Yeah, he could definitely figure four his legs and twister hook it. It's not really everyone's move or game.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Darren twisted him.
I didn't really get the twister down until I was already a black belt. So, I mean, it takes time.
The worst twister I've ever been in was Brad Imes at 6'9", 300 pounds. Decided he wanted to twister me one day, and there was nothing I could do about it. I walked in a circle for a month.
That's a thick twister.
Yeah.
Going back and watching some of D-Day's fights, that fight against Madero's third round had a really good rear naked locked in, just couldn't finish it. One of those moments that I know Darren goes back and it's like, man, you know, could have tightened it up here.
Yeah, Whitney's got a split decision win over Santiago Guzman, who we saw on the last Fury card beat a veteran who was 16-6. I mean, talk about a decision that's aged so well. He just fought Colton England and lost, but Colton's a vet. You see Darren on a head and arm choke.
Now in the mount, can he dole out punishment? Takes the back now.
Pacero's just scrambling appropriately, but man, Whitney's on his back when he needs to dig that left hook in. If he wants to keep this position, he needs to dig that left hook in.
Now that right arm scraping.
That's still a lot of time to have big Darren Whitney on your back. You know, somebody that long, especially if they're able to get those hooks or they get a figure four on you, really, really difficult to get out of it.
So this is what we call a half back take. Notice when he's got his feet crossed, applying tension with the knees and the hips. A half back take, you know, is not as good as a full back take, obviously, but it'll do the job. I mean, you see Whitney staying in position despite not having control on the left side. The rear naked choke is in. I mean, his arms are figure forward. The angle's not the best.
Now, it looks like he may be out of it. Now he's on the bottom here.
Know, had he got that left hook in earlier, I do believe he'd have still been on the back.
1 minute left in round one. Fight Clock brought to you by OnlyFans. Make sure you subscribe to the Fury FC OnlyFans page. Every single fight picture will be on there, plus exclusive content and behind-the-scenes look.
And Mike, you and I share different philosophies on this position, but for MMA, you know, I'm a huge position before submission guy, and you're just a great submission guy. But like in this scenario, it's only a 5-minute round. There's only a minute left in this round. I think if Whitney had really prioritized the back take opposed to the choke, he'd still be in a good spot, still winning the round.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen this a couple of times from him where he's went for something that's really not there yet, and he kind of just falls in love with it, and then, you know, he ends up in this bottom position. Well, we saw this in the Markel Madero's fight.
Straight arm marching from Pacero, not gonna find a finish there. But like, even if this was jiu-jitsu, Whitney could have gone into half guard, gone into like single leg X and attacked some leg locks, like real no threat. But in MMA, I mean, this was the worst he's lost in this round. Oh. I still think that's a Whitney round. Very competitive, very fun fight from these guys. You know, hopefully Whitney's coach is like, hey man, you threw a flurry on him and rocked him. Let's keep it on the feet and see if we can have some success.
Look at our highlights for round one. There is that flurry that had Pacero stunned for a second, and then up against the cage we went.
Yeah, and Pissarro turned his back there to him and kind of fell, but I think he was simultaneously going for that Kimura grip kind of as he was falling. And then you see here, Darren going for that. He kept his head under, but he's got to let this leg go and get to the other side, get both knees down to the mat on the other side. You can't afford to kind of leave yourself in that position. Luckily, it worked out for him, but he almost technical mistake with his feet, and that's really difficult to pay attention to when you're going for a choke with your hands.
See right there, Whitney coming forward, throwing some shots. Eats a punch, but I mean, walks right through it. Keeps his chin tucked well.
Ooh, nice front kick from Darren Whitney.
Eats a hook, but I mean, absorbs these shots well. He's doing his best work coming forward. He needs to get back on that front foot. You know, throw a couple jabs to get that momentum moving forward, and then start to let some of the bigger punches go.
Yeah, and these long guys like this, Alex, they're so good if they're not throwing like bombs every punch. If you're like Nick Diaz and Nate Diaz, both touch, 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 touch. And then just whenever it's time to turn up the power, you know, just the touching, your opponent closes their eyes. You know, you're just constantly touching them because you're so long. And, you know, I think Darren would really benefit from that style of striking.
Nice jab.
Man.
Yeah, better here. This is much, much better.
And Pissarro is kind of putting his hands in and moving his head. He's dodged some punches, but
He's playing with fire, man. He's leaving it exposed. That chin is...
works great until you get cracked on the chin.
If there's been one knock on the Enigma, he always has a good first round, makes it tough, but it's round two where sometimes the fight catches up to the Enigma.
I think Whitney would benefit to strike here. He needs to believe in his boxing. Because we can all see the openings. He can see the openings. Pissarro is down to strike with him, which makes for a fun fight for everyone.
Yeah, and I really think it's Darren Whitney's best chance to win.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, Pissarro, you know, like we said, he has 26 fights on his record. He's very crafty with submission defense, and, you know, like we said, he's seen it all. And so he's going to be very crafty. He's going to be very tough. And Whitney's winning these striking exchanges here.
Yeah, I think it's Pissarro's best chance to win too. I mean, be a good competitive little kickboxing match with these guys. Not that Darren Kent went on the ground, but I mean, the most danger he was in last round was on the ground.
Man, Pissarro keeps connecting with that hook.
Yeah, and that durability and chin only lasts. You know, he's only, what, this is his 9th fight? You know, give it 10 more fights, that starts to go away. You can't bank on just being tough. You got to be able to have good evasion. See, this was a good takedown there from Whitney. He's got the legs tied up. Attacking posts.
Yeah, I would like to see his head a little bit higher, maybe the crown of the head on the chin, kind of just making it a little bit more miserable for Pissarro here. You know, and again, so these small technical things, but, you know, being that long, you just can get away with so many things that, I can't get away with. It's just that length is, you know, it can be used against you also, but in these type of positions, that length is such an advantage.
Under 2 minutes left in round two.
Darren with the grip on the hips there, and, you know, he's got his head a little bit low. If Pissarro were to reach in and grab that switch, you know, handle on the inside of the leg, I think he would get it.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is right there. If he there he sits out hard.
Keep going, keep
and
going.
Here he goes around the corner. He's got to sit out again. Sit out again.
Use your body weight, use gravity. And that'll really wrench the shoulder of the person you're switching to.
Yeah, not only that elbow down in the armpit, whenever you do the switch correctly, man, it drives the head straight down into the mat.
These are pretty good elbows here from Pissarro.
Yes.
Again, I think Whitney should abandon this takedown and box him up. I mean, he's had success on the feet, and he's not as much having success here. Despite
elbows,
scoring some of the takedowns, he's getting elbowed, he got reversed and then punched from out last round.
Stallmate here now, trying to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, what's the number in the referee's head? We're going to go there and separate them.
Pesero just punching, trying to get those.
I'd be curious if the right arm of Whitney is compromised. I may be reaching here, but he's not making a fist. He's not really grabbing with that right hand. And he did get kicked right in the forearm in that first round. But it's not really swelling. I mean, maybe onto a cold lead there. But
we'll see in between rounds here if they kind of look at it or if he takes a look at it as he talks to his corner.
Yeah, maybe not, but he definitely is not really committed to big punches or big grabs.
Yeah, I don't think either guy can count on the fact that they won either one of those rounds. I mean, I think it's a Darren Whitney fight so far.
Yeah, me too.
But, I mean, it's very, very close.
Hey, don't forget to check out the Fury Unleashed champion. Check out that episode, round 3.
Yeah, Smotherman coming off a masterful knockout.
Oh, I love seeing the replays come up on my Instagram. Just beautiful punch.
There we go. Good boxing here early on from Whitney. A good jab cross. Nice high kick from Pesero. Pesero's showing a good kicking game. Nice big right hand there.
Oh, there he goes. Whitney connecting there a few times, but he's kind of chasing him around the cage, Alex. Ooh.
He's connecting. He's finding the range right at the end of his punch. Nice kick there from Pesero.
Yeah, same place as that kick landed in the first round. He had one in the forearm, he had one to the body.
It looked like for a second Pesero was just like, come on, go ahead, punch me a little bit more. I'm okay with this.
It's funny because Pesero will like drop his hands and move his head. I don't know if he's rocked or if he's evading.
That's the enigma.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Now Darren Whitney with another flurry of punches, but Pesero just welcoming in this damage. This is fun.
See, if Whitney can keep coming forward and box, I think he'll outstrike him all day long. It's when Whitney allows Pesero to come forward that he's eating the worst shots.
Yeah, he's kind of chasing him around the cage still. Needs to cut him off whenever he's running like that. But I know in the third round, man, it's really, really tired. It's really hard to, your head's a little bit foggy just from the fatigue.
Oh, nice, good right hand. Another right hand there from Whitney. Pesero acting well, good jab.
As he mentioned, as Pesero's backing up, still walking around like he's not eating them with a lot of power.
It's almost like he's trying to walk Whitney onto these big kicks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not going to be enough to win. You know, big left hand there and a right hand. Both guys exchange at the same time. Pesero digs to the body. Whitney back on the jab, good right hand.
It just takes one to connect perfectly, but so far, every punch that Pesero has eaten really aren't doing much damage to him.
I think Whitney can like jab and then feint, bait a movement reaction out of Pesero and then find the target. Big double leg though. I mean, this is effective as well.
Yeah, very effective if he can, you know, punch well from this position. He's gonna have to posture up a little bit. And get some, you know, this is where that length plays against you just a little bit.
Yeah, and it's funny, it's easy to call for strikes when you're not the one who's going to get punched back.
Yeah, for sure.
So Whitney's like, hey, I'm getting this double leg, I'm getting on top. You get in there and punch him if you want.
Yeah.
Under 2 minutes left, final round in this lightweight bout. Third fight of the night. Still to come. 2 titles on the line on a Friday night. That's how we do it here at Fury.
And before that, like a violent appetizer, we got Luna and Butler. I mean, I got some high hopes for that fight. Those guys are both mean and both physical.
By the way, Jesse Butler's corner, they were in Joe Borshik's corner. Joe never brings a corner, so that's who it was. Good on them.
That's nice, yeah.
Last time it was Fury staff that was cornering Joe.
Yeah, Jesse Butler, an absolute wild man. I can't wait to see that fight.
That's going to be so much fun. And we also have Arian Young taking on Lauren Thibodeau.
Yeah, some prospects. That'll be a cool one as well.
That fight is next, but right now, Pissarro-Whitney. It's been Whitney in round 3 with the control. Had some good flurries. Looking for the finish now is Darren Whitney.
Yeah, Darren was trying to snake those long arms through there for that Darce choke. Pissarro knew what he was doing and turned right into it. He almost turned himself into and gave his back. And with that choke already in, would have been devastating. Good on Darren for not continuing to chase it and keeping his top position.
Good ground and pound there from Darren. It was funny, Pissarro hit him with a couple of the double punches from the bottom. I think that upset Darren. Score some back.
And let's give it up to whoever did his cornrows, because usually by this time the cornrows are out. Still nice and tight. There's your cornrow analysis by Raheel.
Yeah. Who used to have cornrows when he was in college. I have a picture if y'all want to see it.
All right, 10 seconds left. Big elbow flurry there from the bottom from the Enigma, Chris Pissarro. But we will be going to the judges' scorecards. And we'll see how the judges score this fight. Round 3 highlights.
Yeah,
pretty OnlyFans.
Pretty dominant round for round 3 for Darren Whitney. He was winning the striking battle all the way until he got this takedown, and then he never lost position on the takedown. Was able to dole out a lot of punishment from the ground. You know, it took a little bit, but nothing devastating. But, you know, punches from the bottom, I don't even know if they count those unless they're, you know, causing blood or you know, or unless you're Michael Murphy, who we're going to see today in the co-main event.
Yeah, I'd say Whitney takes a confirmed 3, and then honestly, maybe 1 and 2. I'd say 1 and 3 for sure with Whitney, but that's just my opinion, which is really irrelevant.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 2 rounds to 1 for Whitney. You know, it'd be good to see him get back on the win. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we have nothing to do with this. We're just guessing. We're not judges.
Educated guesses.
Yeah, that's right.
Might I add?
That's right.
It's educated because we're a little bit closer than you at home. That's why. But at the end of it, look, that felt like a Whitney.
Oh yeah. A fun competitive fight.
Yeah. Let's give it up to Chris Pissarro, man. Such a long career and still in there. Let's go inside to Wayne and see how the judges scored this.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Brought to you by HKA USA. Judge Josh Shakur scores the fight 30-27 for Whitney. Judge Javier Martinez scores the fight 30-27 Pissarro. And Judge Susan Moore scores the fight 29-28, declaring your winner by split decision, Darren D-Day Whitney.
Okay, so how a judge gave Pissarro round 3 is beyond me. That is like negligible judging.
Wow, okay.
Was it the guy over there with the horn? Was he trying to get the horn button to go again?
Hey, don't forget to follow us on social media. A lot of giveaways on there.